Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily Coaching. At the moment, we're currently hosting a number of online discussions around various topics within the football industry. And today's discussion is going to be all around scholarships within football. And to help us with that topic and through that discussion, I have Tyrelle from Soccerassist, the founder of Soccerassist, with us. And we're just going to be basically discussing his background, his experiences, and then a little bit of a discussion around the scholarships process and any sort of advice of how you can get in touch. And he could potentially help you on that journey. So getting straight into things, first of all, like I said, I'd like to thank Tyrelle for taking his time to join us today. And Tyrelle, if you don't mind just sharing a few of your experiences and your background, kind of bringing us up to date with where we are now.
Sure thing. So I initially went over to the US on a scholarship. I think it's back in 2011 now. I came to a crossroad that I guess many young students will come to when you reach around about 18, whereby it's the choice of going to university in the UK or going down a non-league pathway. And for me, neither really appealed massively. And lucky enough, I was offered this opportunity to go over to the US. So I started off at a junior college in Seattle, done really well there, had an amazing experience. And then later transferred to a school in West Virginia that were one of the best schools in the nation. And we won the national championship 2 years in a row, had an amazing experience. And then off the back of that, I was offered the opportunity to play professional football in Scandinavia. So I spent a bit of time in Sweden and Finland. So for me, I definitely credit all my success to the US pathway because it's led me, as I said, to have an amazing opportunity to play sport full-time abroad, but then also into what we're doing now with Soccerassist and helping many other students go through the route and hopefully go on and do better than myself and the rest of my colleagues and my team have done.
It's interesting. I think there's a big thing of when people kind of finish college, they kind of think, what's the next step to take? And similar, like you said, you get to that crossroads where it's like, do I take a course, over in England, where potentially it may just be the typical sports course, which will help certain people within their particular injuries and where they want to get to. But I think it definitely takes a lot of like guts, an element of risk, I suppose, as well, of obviously moving up and abroad and taking that opportunity. But as you just highlighted there, you've taken that risk, you've taken that opportunity when it was thrown at you, and obviously it's paid credit to the opportunities that you was able to have, and also leading to where you are now.
For sure, and I think that's the big thing for me. Like, it is a risk, as you said. Like, that's one thing that people need to understand. But the benefits, what kind of waits for you on the other side, are huge. In terms of if you want to be in an environment where you're training full time, you can focus on your sport. You can obviously still get a degree so you can keep mum and dad happy and have an amazing life experience. Why wouldn't you take that risk? Worst case scenario, this is what I always say to students is, if it doesn't work out for you, it's not the right thing for you, just see it as an extended holiday, because I can guarantee you're going to have memories, do you know what I mean, that's going to last you for the rest of your life. And it's a simple case as well of just kind of, I always just say, compare it to what your options are here. If you're a student that's in a non-league team, once you kind of get out of that college football program, you're probably only going to be training 2-3 times a week at best. So if you're trying to break into the pro game, you want to give yourself the best possible chance. You can be in a full-time environment where you're doing, same frequency as what players that are in these academies or in these pro clubs are doing. So I think people need to weigh up all these things when they're looking at it, as opposed to just seeing it as, America's just so far, it's just a long way away, and just looking at the negatives.
Yeah, of course. And I think, again, like you said, there's obviously a lot of college programs over here which people tend to go into, and it's good that these clubs are offering these sort of avenues and these support mechanisms for players. But yeah, I kind of very rarely see sort of that major transition from you may have a class full of 30 students, and we're talking about maybe 1 or 2 potentially going on to actually get into the first team of, like you said, a non-league side. So I think that it's massive to obviously take the opportunity. So you've obviously got the major experiences, and I think that with any sort of avenue, really, I think it kind of holds weight when you've got somebody who had the experience and the knowledge within that industry. So obviously, after you finished your playing career in Scandinavia, what kind of made you want to create the Soccerassist brand, and what kind of led you into doing that?
Yes, so back when we was at university in West Virginia, myself and a co-founder Junior, where we met in the dorm rooms, we started to have many discussions about our process of getting over to the US and just like speaking to other international students. There was just like a common theme in terms of the reputation that the industry had, in terms of just like lack of support, service wasn't great, just simple basic things really. And obviously that really resonated with us, because we had similar feelings when we went through the process ourselves. So just having those discussions, understanding that there is a better way of doing things, there is a way that you can put the player first and ensure their needs are kind of fulfilled. At the same time as obviously the business needs are also fulfilled as well. So I think it was just, that was our why, and that still today is our why, in terms of just creating a better experience for the students. And everything that we do is really about putting them at the center of it, so that even leads to like our trial days now. We thought, how can we make our trial days be better than anyone else's? So we managed to get a few partnerships with that player, with a smart vest, and with like science and sport, to just give it that professional experience and that professional feel. So then that way people, even if you just come to the trial or you don't go to the stage, you could at least say, do you know what, I went to that Soccerassist event and it was sick, it was really good, I got something from it. And that's what we really try and aim to do with everything that we kind of put out.
That's good. I think as well, like you said, it's some of these players potentially might not be of the level of which some of these places in America might be looking for, but like you said, it adds to that experience. And I think, again, you having that experience of being in the position yourself massively helps with, like you said, you're kind of looking at what could I potentially do better, what would have made it a better experience for myself, and then that obviously allows you to put that sort of those implements in place to provide that sort of ideal situation, the ideal look of how it would be.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it's massive. So obviously, like you said, players, you look to try and come down to trial days, but taking it back a few steps, what's kind of the way in which you go about either A, recruiting players, or B, if, say, for example, a player is interested in potentially gaining a scholarship, how do they get in contact with yourselves, and what's the process that they take once they've got in contact with you?
Cool. So the initial step, really, we're quite proactive on like social media. So people probably would have come across our profile at some stage. If they just have initial questions, they can always feel free to just DM us, and we're happy to provide information, just answer questions. Alternatively, we go into schools, colleges, we do presentations. We work with a number of academies up and down the nation. We work with the Independent Schools Association and supporting Airplane and doing a few things with them. But essentially, if a student is interested, they simply need to just head to our website. There's a button on the top right corner that says like book my trial, and then it just takes you through an application process. If at this stage you're not ready to book a trial as of yet, it's fine. You can just select to book in for a call, where one of my guys on my team will drop you guys a call and kind of walk you through the process with you and your parents, give you all the answers to the questions, and then you can be in a position to work out if it's something you want to take forward or not.
Okay, I think that's massive as well, what you mentioned about the parents. I think so often we forget that, and we think that, especially within coaching, obviously parents are a big thing with, them bringing them along to the sessions and supporting them through that journey, potentially financially as well. I think it's massive how you said that, like, even just because they're at an age now where potentially you're going to be doing this on their own, that family aspect, and I suppose even to the extent of brand as well, having a family environment is massive, because obviously, players will probably feel some sort of way of going miles and miles and miles abroad and away from their family, but likewise their family obviously want to make sure that they're getting put into a position where, like you said, it's either A, the qualification, or B, the footballing opportunity is there for them to an extent.
For sure, because obviously mum and dad, families play a huge part in making it happen for these students for the most part anyway. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of common questions that, mum and dads ask. So it's important for us to be on the other end of the phone to, one, provide the answers to them, and then two, to also, provide them with a bit of a comfort, because at the end of the day, we are all ex-student athletes. Everyone involved in the agency have been through the route. So our parents would have had similar, concerns and questions about safety, etc. Do you know what I mean? So it's just about easing those concerns for them, making them feel that they're with the right people, and they've got that peace of mind that, if they're coming with us, their son or daughter is going to end up in the US afterwards.
That sounds great. And in terms of, so they go to the trial, and then what happens then? So obviously, is it yourselves who are sort of looking to make a judgment call on them, or is it potentially some of these colleges over in America that are sort of coming over and and looking at them and making that call?
Yeah. So we do the initial vetting process just to make sure that, you know, when we're putting forward the candidates to the universities, we're putting forward the right level. Because as you can imagine, you know, you're going to get all mixed abilities coming down to trials and stuff like that, which is fine. So what happens on the trial day? We deliver a presentation, we show a few videos, we have a Q&A session. So we encourage the parents to come down as well, gives them a chance to meet us in person and get a good feel of what we offer. Thereafter, the students are kitted up, so they get the Adidas training gear, they get the GPS tracking vest, the science and sports supplements, so the energy levels don't drop. We go through 6 different technical practices before we finish off with a small game. And then within 48 hours thereafter, we get back in contact with every candidate and start to look at next steps moving forwards. And all of our assessment days are led by a UEFA coach, just to make sure, as I said, they've got that professional experience, you know, when it comes down to one of our events.
It's brilliant. I think, again, it's allowing that, like I said, that experience for the feel of the day. It's not just, you know, I think sometimes the word trial is perceived as quite a daunting word, really, to some players, especially, like you said, you're going to get a mixed array of ability. Some may be sort of praised upon by others. Some may be their own praise and thinking they're an ability which they might not be, or they might be. Yeah, it's interesting to see, like you said, it's that experience of the day. And also as well, the thing of getting back into contact with them quite quickly after they've obviously been to the trial. I think that's massive as well, because again, for a lot of these players, they're probably thinking, you know, how have I done? What's, like you said, what's the next step? And it allows for that quick transition, I suppose.
Yeah, I think spot on with that one, man. Like we try and, how can I say, you don't want to lose the competitiveness in an event, but at the same time, we try and make it very clear that it's not a trial basis of where we're going to pick, you know, we're here to pick 5 players, or we're going to choose him over you. It's really about a self-assessment. You know, the way that we've set up the day, you know, we've come a long way in terms of how our trials used to be run, where it was 11v11 format, and it's really difficult to really get a full gauge on a player, because, you know, people can have a worldie of a game, or you could just be in a team whereby you're not getting a service as a striker, but it doesn't mean that you're a bad player. So the day now is more about testing these different elements that we know are common themes in players that we've helped get scholarships.
Yeah, of course. And it's like I said as well, I think even the 11v11 stuff, I mean, there's been, you know, it's been a common theme of how trials may be set up. But like you said, on the day, strikers may not be getting the providing which they need. You may not get as many touches on the ball potentially in 11v11. So yeah, it's interesting that it's that range of formats. So kind of looking at the whole then, say, for example, obviously, like you said, there's major benefits to getting a scholarship within football, especially within America. Obviously, like yourself, you said that it's allowed you to go into opportunities in other countries as well. What would you kind of say is maybe the major challenge within gaining a scholarship within football, and maybe the major benefit within achieving one as well?
Yeah, I think in terms of, from my experience, so from my experience, I think looking back on the time, I think especially if you're looking to play abroad, one of the biggest difficulties or challenges you're going to face is probably the language barriers, or it would be the initial settling in periods, the homesickness. Those are the key things, because I can highlight several times. So, for example, when I initially went over to the US, it was very different in terms of terminology to begin with. You know, we call it football boots, they call it cleats.
Yeah.
You know, like simple things like that. Do you know what I mean? When I had to adapt to the coaching, because I remember I had one coach and he was saying that wingers have to, and it's like, well, I've come from a system where wingers track fullbacks. Do you know what I mean? It's just completely different, but you have to adapt, and it obviously improves you as a player. And then later on, when I went to Scandinavia, I think that's probably where I said that the language barrier kind of comes into play, because let's say if you had a bad game or a bad training session, whatever it may be, you can't just switch off. You go back into the change room, everyone's speaking a native language, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if you're the only English-speaking player there, then it's just difficult, you know what I mean? Because even though they try their best to integrate you, there are times where you will feel isolated like that. So I think those are the challenges that probably people don't think about when they're looking at playing, you know, professional sport, especially abroad. But at the same time as well, you know, if you're able to overcome challenges, then it's going to improve you as a person as well as a player.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, I think with any sort of abroad coaching, playing, It's settling into the environment and settling into, obviously, like you said, the terminology. I think even over in England as well, certain coaches use different terminology, which confuses many players. But it's like you said, just adapting to that sort of environment. And like you said as well, I think the major benefit of getting a scholarship is, like you said, number one is obviously ideally they're probably going over there for the football, so you do get potential opportunity to play more regular first team football. But then as well, like you said, if all fall back on it, you're also getting a qualification out of it as well in terms of your education. So it's like it's a kind of win-win scenario really, because you either have both or one or the other to kind of fall onto as well. So massive. Well, listen, Tyrelle, fantastic insight. I think sort of, you know, for, like I said, there's a lot of players who are probably going to be viewing and watching, and like I said, to kind of understand the process of what you need to take as a player, sort of the commitments potentially that you may need to give up in terms of going abroad, but also, you know, like you mentioned there, that the major benefits of it as well, and as well, like you said, from yourselves and from Junior as well, to get those key experiences from people who have been there and done that. I think is massive. And obviously, as you've mentioned as well, your Soccerassist platform is huge on social media. And like you said, I'm sure many players have come across it. But if they haven't, then listen, highly recommend you to get in touch, because I think it's a great opportunity to achieve what you want to within those football opportunities abroad. So if you're happy to, if you just want to maybe share some of your social media platforms, and I will put it in the links anyway, so people can obviously get in touch. But just come from you.
Perfect. So they can find us across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I think that's Snapchat, at Soccerassist, all one word. And our website is www.soccer-assist.co.uk. If this new generation, they love YouTube, we're also on YouTube as well. Forgot to mention that. And we've got some of the games on there where we've played against other YouTube teams, such as like Rebel FC and BT Squad, so they can feel free to tune into that as well and get a bit of a feel of how we do things a bit differently.
Okay, no, I think at that point there, you mentioned that YouTube is massive, because again, it gives them almost a virtual experience of what they will be achieving. But yeah, no, definitely, like I said, I'll put these links in the comments or in description below so people can access it. But again, like I said, obviously, massive thank you for you to taking part in this. I think, like I said, it will be very, very impactful for some of those players really thinking about, do I take that opportunity to go abroad? And like I said, highly advise anybody watching to get in touch with Soccerassist, Tyrelle or Junior as well. If anyone has any questions, they can just feel free, drop us a DM. You know, we can answer them for them and go from there, man. No problem. Well, Tyrelle, thank you very much for giving up the time. Really appreciate it, and hopefully the viewers will do too. All right, I'll catch up with you soon.
Likewise. All right, man. Appreciate that, man.
No worries. Take care.
Take care. Bye.